I wish I could tell you that I learned my lesson and that I never again picked up that bondage. But the truth is, I did. And I fell straight into the trap that Satan so cleverly set up for me. I should probably tell you a little bit of my background, how I was raised, and how my relationship was with this man. You see, my life was full of going back to him. I was born in St. Cloud, married, my mom and dad were married, and then they divorced when I was like 5 or 6. And I have 3 sisters total, but 2 sisters that I grew up with. And so when they divorced, we moved out. We spent the next several years on welfare and food stamps, living in subsidized housing, bouncing from here to there. My mom had a few boyfriends that were like pretty corrupted, partially because, my mom and everybody that she dated was an alcoholic. Like I said, I'm sorry, Mom, but I have to be honest. I spent most of my younger years just wanting to be loved, and I never did get that actual like reassurance that I was. I was molested as a child, and it's kind of a cool story. Well, it's not a cool story to get molested, but it's cool because after I got saved, I felt like it was injustice, right? Like, I'm a person who's all about like justice. Like, I want stuff to be fair and whatever. And so I felt like it was injustice, because he never got caught. Like, we told on him and the police came and basically asked him if he did it, and he said no. And they were like, okay, bye. And I mean, they talked to us and whatever, but I don't know, I guess they thought we were lying. So whatever. It wasn't just me, it was another family member too. But anyways, I saw him after I got saved, and my first thought was anger, right? Because you got away with this dude, and like sexual predators right now in 2015 are a really big deal. Back when this happened, I think I was in 1st grade, and it was not that big of a deal, but now it really is. You have like a statement, traveling with your name everywhere you go if you're a sex offender. So I was angry. And I remember, just glaring at him, and he pretended he didn't see me and whatever. And I remember getting home and just crying and crying and crying, and I was so upset because I'm like, he's free. And he's actually like a armed car guy. And I was like, he's like trusted to protect stuff. Like, I was just really mad, okay? And you have to understand, I never dealt with that. I went and seen a counselor, I guess, like a spiritual counselor. Which he's amazing, and he, had some ways about him, and he asked me to close my eyes and take me back to the first place I was hurt, and or lied to or deceived or whatever, and that was the first thing I thought of. I've obviously probably been hurt before that, but I just didn't, that was what my mind went to. And he said, now picture God being there and, listen to what he's saying to you. And it took a while because, whatever. And I finally said that God told me, I believe you, because it was the truth. We didn't lie about it. And so that's what allowed me to forgive him, okay? It was only God. And, I remember myself asking myself, what if somebody did this to my kids? Like, would I forgive them, and there's a lot to that story too. My mom had a lot to do with it too, over the reason why I was upset, because I don't feel like she believed me at the time. And then after we moved into St. Cloud, which is a whole nother story, but he called her at like 3 o'clock in the morning and had a flat tire, and she got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and went and picked him up. And I was angry, I was just like, how on earth would you ever do that to somebody who did that to your children? Well, you do that if you don't believe them, right? Duh. So whatever. Anyways, long story short, I forgave him. And God gave me the chance to see him again. And I told him, I looked him dead in the eyes and said, I forgive you. And he just cowered down. I could see the look on his face. It was priceless. He held the door open for me and, did not make eye contact with me again. He looked down and, hung his head. I can tell that he is like struggling. But anyways, I forgive him now. Okay, continuing on. So I learned that like actions speak way louder than words. And I wanted the actions, not the words. I don't like when people tell me stuff if they don't follow through with it. It's like just keep your stuff to yourself. So when I was like 12 or 13, we moved from Cold Spring to St. Cloud, as I said. And that began my rebellious stage. And let me tell you, it was like disgusting. My sister and I, the one who eventually led me to the Lord, started smoking weed and drinking and having sex. And my school was, I started failing in school. I started fighting. And I eventually got kicked out of school for fighting and started going to a school that didn't require me to be there. I just had to do my homework and turn it in. Looking back, even though I still graduated, it was a horrible mistake that my mom allowed me to make. I needed structure and discipline, not freedom and an easy way out. But anyways, being the manipulator I was, I convinced her to let me go to that school. And that school pretty much gave me free time to do all the things that I wanted. And so I did. I eventually met John, the man that I ended up being with from the age of 16, which is in 2001, all the way up until I gave my life to the Lord in November of 2009. He was the first man who ever showed me any kind of interest, or interest in me besides sex. Literally. I mean, I had relationships with people and whatever, but it was just, all I cared about was just I'm just gonna have sex with you and you can go away. He seemed to care about me in a way that nobody else did. He would ask me, what did you eat today? And I'd be like, why do you care? Why do you care what I ate today? It was just weird. And so whatever, of course, then I liked him even more. And, we dated for 7 or 8 months. And then I got pregnant. At this time I was on probation and I was supposed to be taking UAs. Because of course I had gotten in trouble for all those fights because I thought I was a rough rider. I was a toughie. But I hadn't been taking my UAs because my probation officer was on maternity leave and she didn't tell the person who was covering for her that I was supposed to be taking them. So anyways, it all caught up with me the day that I found out I was pregnant because she came back from maternity leave and I had to go to her office and take a UA, and of course it came back positive for weed and I got sent to treatment. I went straight from the doctor. Okay, so, went and took my UA, went to the doctor, found out I was pregnant, went and took my UA, came back with weed, told the lady I was pregnant. I'm going to stop smoking, I'm pregnant, blah, blah, blah. She was like, absolutely not, you're pregnant, you're not going to be able to quit, we're going to have to put you in an inpatient treatment. So my mom picked me up, and, I got in the car, and, I don't know, I don't know if I want to tell this story, but yes, I do. Nobody wanted me to have this baby, okay? I was, really, really reckless. My life was a mess. I was, obviously on drugs and pregnant at 16 or 17, or I had him when I was 17. And, it was just a mess, okay? And nobody wanted me to have him except, a few people, but I didn't care. And, I remember one particular person telling me, it's just a blob. And I was like, what? No, my baby is not a blob, okay? And that wasn't an option for me at this point. So I went to the treatment center and they wouldn't let me use the phone and tell John I was pregnant. And eventually, they let me use the phone and I told John I was pregnant and he was like, well, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, what? And he was like, well, you can't kill the baby, so what are you gonna do? And I was like, whatever. So we decided, yep, we're gonna have a baby, cool. Eventually, so I went from treatment into foster care. And because my mom did not want me back. She was like, absolutely not. This kid is crazy and she don't listen to me and she does whatever she wants. So no, I can't handle her. Send her away. So I went to foster care and stayed with some people. I really wish I could remember their names, but I don't. And so,